welcome everybody, if you can hear me. But noise cancelling off today. We haven't got a lot of motorway or dual carriageway driving today, but bear with me for the next few minutes. Coming up to Britannia Bridge, 9:30. Here we go, a bit of filtering for you. Tricky lighting conditions today actually. Alright, just go on the horn. And the usual half-asleep drivers. They couldn't see an incoming asteroid, let alone the lights of a bike. back everybody, we're just going through Bethesda. Being stuck behind this bulk haulage truck, probably going to the slate quarries. I've got a few minutes. It's very bad route for very large lorries which are going through Bethesda constantly. Nobody seems to think about this when they give planning permission for these quarry extensions, but there we are. We've got a bit of an easterly wind today. Just in front of the camera there we've got Penryn Quarry, the old quarry, the site of the zip weld. As you can see, we've got a bit of a capping of fluffy cloud this morning. Because of the easterly wind, the cloud tends to pile up on the eastern side. If we were to fly over the mountains, we'd probably see a completely solid bank of cloud. But on the western side, because the rising air takes the moisture out of the air, it's nice and sunny. So it's a bit of an unknown quantity really what we'll find on the eastern side. We're on the way to Blaenau Ffestiniog this morning. And we could either enjoy being completely in the cloud, completely out of the cloud, or completely above the cloud. Or I suppose some kind of combination of both as the day goes on. Cloud of course tends to increase a little bit as we go towards the middle of the day. So I haven't got a coat with me, but I've got a little bit of extra layers. It's being the beginning of October. It's getting a little bit chilly. It was down to about 4 degrees, +4, something like that overnight here. And down to freezing in certain parts of the country, I believe. Oh, well there goes the windshield from my microphone, so that will mean we'll have to stop in a second. There's always something, isn't there? I've forgotten to take the preloader down today after taking the wife with me over the last weekend. Actually, it makes for better cornering, which is interesting. Right, just going to pull in quickly here. Complete confusion for everybody. Okay, there goes the windshield. Okay, we'll have to pull in a bit. Oh dear. Right, not exactly what I wanted to do, but... Okie dokie. We're back online. Get out of here, rather difficult, dangerous place actually. Right, there we go, that's that negotiated. Okay, well the old cheapo Chinese microphone is, and its windshield comes undone. I'm probably going to lose that, probably during today. Should put a bit of glue on, but hey, not to worry. We need a, it's a bit of a directional microphone, so we need one that's slightly less, I suspect. Never mind, one of those things. And we're down to about 3/4 of a tank, maybe half a tank. Very expensive petrol station down in Betws-y-Coed, so we'll probably give that a skip. Should have enough. We're only about, I guess about 30 miles, less than that, from the destination. We're getting about 56 miles per gallon on average from this bike. So by my mental arithmetic, we should be perfectly fine, at least until we're on the way back. So yeah, good clouds today. It's as though somebody's sort of scooped some cream over them. Very pretty. Lighting, of course, turns really good at this time of year. Okay, complete confusion as to who goes first. There we go. Okay, let's just tilt this camera down a little bit. There we go. So here we go. Nant Francon, where we're going to lose the sun for a little while. Rather nervous looking bin lorry driver there. Tumbleweed, well, that says it all. Ah, look at those clouds. It's not so common that we get an easterly wind in this part of the world, and when we do, the whole atmosphere changes. Not only do we get these strange mountain hugging clouds, the whole sort of electricity of the atmosphere changes. It's quite strange. It becomes very dry on the leeward side of the mountains because all the moisture is taken out as the air rises. The old fawn effect. And I'm picking up a bit of wind coming down those hills today, which is another annoyance with these easterly winds. And the closer we get to this side wall of this old glaciated valley, the stronger it's likely to get. When we turn the corner up at the top to go into the Ogwen Valley, it's probably going to get even worse, but hey, well, that's motorcycling for you. Yeah, a bit of buffeting there. Be careful on these corners, mess up my line. Oh yeah, there's a good 30-35 knot wind coming down those mountains. The other danger with easterly winds here is if, like me, you're a pilot and you take to the air on a nice clear day, you can end up feeling rather unwell as you pick up turbulence from the mountains, in the lee of the mountains obviously, and you can get some rotors which are quite dangerous with descent speeds of about 5,000 feet per minute, way beyond what a light aircraft can climb at, and so the only way is down. We're going to try and avoid that if at all possible. But also just generally unpleasant. You can avoid most of it by flying at least 1,000 feet above the mountains, but on a day like this probably a couple of thousand if not more. If you are unfortunate enough to find yourself in the lee of the mountains in an easterly wind here, it can feel like somebody's literally just slapping a very large hand on the top of your aircraft. And I've had it actually where I hit my head in the roof of the aircraft and I was sort of seeing stars for a couple of seconds. It's not a pleasant experience, especially when you've probably got to sort of fly yourself through and out of it when you come across a patch of turbulence like that. But the best thing is to look at the maps. Is it an easterly wind? Yes. Well, flying on the westerly side is probably not going to be much fun. Forget it. If it's a strong wind, certainly forget it. And there's always another day. If you don't have to be up there, well, you don't have to be up there. But today, well, we're nice and safe down here. Let's see if we break through the clouds. Hopefully we will, otherwise it's going to make for a bit of a bad day for photography if nothing else, and probably just a generally cold sort of day for walking. Well, it's slow going through here at the moment. It's coming up to 10 o'clock, so people have got into work in the surrounding area and are making their way out to their various jobs. There are also quite a few tourists, in fact. Yeah, we're looking down the Ogwen Valley and it's, as expected, wall-to-wall cloud. Just ahead is Trevan. As regulars to this channel will know, not Triffin and not Trevan. Trevan. Easy when you know how. And there's Ogwen Lake, looking a bit windswept this morning. I'm in no hurry at all this morning actually, so pottering along at about 40 miles an hour today. Not least because you get people like this who make up their minds of where to park at the very last minute. So let's go through and past Trevan, see what lies when we turn a corner. Will give us a better idea of what awaits us. Over towards Plena Festinio. This is the highest part now, really, of Eryri. So we're just at about 1,000 feet here. So with the effect of the mountains, we can only really expect clouds. But looking at just above towards Ffynnon Lloer, yeah, you can see some nice blue sky. So it is breaking up. It's probably a very thin and well-defined layer, so we may well climb out of it if we go to any altitude on the hill walk today. Right, we've had enough of this lot, so let's get past them. And the general rule is let's get past them quickly. Fair play to the car in front of me, he was looking what he was doing, saw me coming well in advance. Put his brakes on a bit, but there we are. Okay, well on this side of the mountains it most certainly isn't a very nice autumn day. Anglesey, great. This side not so great, it's feeling distinctly wintry actually. So I'm going to make a decision as to whether I carry on today in fact. Shame. Thought I'd give you some nice scenery, so we'll turn some corners, get onto a straight, kill the video and come back to you when we've got something a little bit more scenic for you. Okay, welcome back everybody. We're just on the run-in into Betws-y-Coed. For those who'd like to learn a bit of Welsh, it's not Betws-y-Coed. Betws-y-Coed. We picked up a moto friend behind with quite a large bike. Set of panniers. Not sure where he's going. Doing a nice bit of advanced driving certainly, although he's taking a bit of a... oh, there we are. Bit of a strange position for a bit. Mind you, most people say I take up a bit of a strange position. I tend to take more of a position 3, mainly because the traffic clears the debris on that position. So I find it kind of encourages drivers on the opposing carriageway to drive as though I'm a car coming towards them rather than a motorbike they think they can shove in front of. You have to be ready to yield, obviously, not everybody gets the message. Lorries in particular, of course, need a bit more room, so there we go. The aim of the game, keep it all running smoothly, safely. And it's not warm today, has to be said. I've got some walking shoes on rather than riding boots, so a bit of cold there gets up my legs. We'll have to get some boots actually. So it's just a lot simpler to come in walking boots. Take them off, take the trousers off, put them back on, and I haven't got to keep or to store any boots. I'll go for a walk. It's a bit of a silly thing really, because it only applies when I've got two people on board, and then we have a bit of a storage limitation, but with one person there's plenty of storage for whatever I care to bring really. So this is Betws-y-Coed, honey trap. Very quiet today compared to its bustling summer self. More elderly tourists now, of course, because they're not at work. And their kids are not at school. There we go. Let's just shove through. There we are. This is just what cars do. So we've got a nice half tank of petrol left, according to this meter anyway. We've only got about 11 miles to run to the destination. A little bit less actually, because we're not quite going to Betws-y-Coed this morning. We're just staying on the outside of it, on the peak of the Crimea Pass. Doing there. Bit of mist on the old visor this morning, that's unusual. I didn't get that all winter long last year, that's strange. Hey, here's a bike friend, somebody cutting across. A sharp bend, that one. Well, we probably can't get ahead of him, but what's the point? We're in a rush, are we? This versus 1000, given that I'm 30 years out of the game and only about a year and a month or so back into it, is a very, I wouldn't say forgiving bike. That seems to suggest I'm making lots of mistakes, which I'm not, I don't think. But it's a very nice bike to ride. As you'll all know, choosing a bike, especially if you haven't had a chance to test them out for real, in the real world as it were, is quite a big commitment. Bikes are not cheap. They cost as much as a basic new car. I think this Versys in its most glorified form cost about 13,000 or more. I bought this second hand only having done 800 miles. It had been out on the salt actually, and the guy hadn't bothered cleaning it. So it looked a slight mess, but it cleaned up nicely. And I've had absolutely no bother with it at all. It deals with my inevitable slight lack of confidence in some of the more technical bends very well. It treats me well, and the silly thing really is that it's so much easier to ride than the CB500 I had previously. So much easier to ride. Its weight is slung nicely, it flicks along in corners beautifully. It's got, of course, being 1000cc, slightly over, it's got ample power to get past cars on difficult overtakes, shorter than expected overtakes, awkward overtakes, cars that accelerate when they shouldn't. So it's just got the power to pull away decisively. So if you're in the market for a bike at the moment, for something that's, I think, very reasonably priced and handles beautifully and eats up the miles, well, you can do a lot worse than a Versys 1000 by Kawasaki. I'm not paid by them, I'm not promoting it, I'm just passing on my experience, because as we all know, it could be very different. Could be a bike that just doesn't suit me. Oh, and the other really important thing, given that we're all well fed these days and we're no longer conforming to 1950s body measurements, as so many kitchens seem to think we still are, it's got plenty of leg room. I've got my legs tucked up now, or on tiptoes as it were, whilst I'm underway, not changing gear. I'm 6'2", and I'd say I'm 97% comfortable. It could be very, very, very slightly longer in the leg, but you know, given that they have to make a bike for a wide market, this fits me very well. Yeah, a bit of a carry turn, there we go. Now the old Kawasaki is even good on the very small roads. You see me on some of the smaller roads in other videos, going up to Kreuzor, for example, which is a single track, barely a single track, with leaves on at this time of year, wet, bad camber, blind corners and all the rest of it. It's the worst kind of road really. And this bike copes really well with it on slow speed passes. It's not an off-road bike, obviously. It's not kitted out in those kind of tyres, but for the range of road types that we get in North Wales, which goes from dual carriageways with good surfaces to a road like this, which are pretty good neck altogether, to the very small and almost off-road tracks, the old Versys copes with them all. It's a lovely run up to Blaenau-Ffestiniog of this road. I think it's the A470, isn't it? I should know, I'm on it up to 2 or 3 times a week in summer. It certainly leads on to the A470 anyway, and it is a lovely run. So we'll save you the boredom of going through Dolwydd Elan, and we'll pick you up on the Crimea. Okay folks, there we are, I'm with you again. Dolwydd Elan Castle in front of us, dating from late 13th century I think. And the weather's looking good now. We've made it through the highest parts of Eryri, and clouds seems to be breaking up. There's a little bit of wind around today, so it's not just going to sit there and do nothing. We're just coming up to the Crimea Pass behind a very smoky Land Rover when it's on acceleration. We're a little bit slow this morning, aren't we, everybody? Need to get past this if I can. If not, I'll get past them on the Crimea. Let's see how we go. 6th gear, 40 miles an hour, 43 already, so yeah, there are roadworks, so we'll keep it steady. Hopefully this isn't going all the way up the Crimea, because the Crimea is a nice hill to climb up on the Kawasaki. Should have called the channel the Cheesy Quacker, really. I call Kawasaki the Cheesy Quacker. Quacker for obvious reasons. Cheesy because, well, I just like cheese. And cheese on crackers. So it's the Cheesy Quacker. There's a errant can. Get past that. Right, well, it looks as though the roadworks. Here we are. Andrew was getting ready for some overtaking action. Well, I didn't see any roadworks, but there we go. Oh dear. Come along. Well, there's a bit of an overtaking place coming up. Goodbye, everybody. And that's what I mean with enough power to get you out of those irritating situations. That's what you need in a motorbike. That is essentially, if you use it right, is what keeps you safe. If you use it in the bad way, then it isn't what keeps you safe. But there you go. A lot of you like to tear along these roads at ridiculous speeds, so that's entirely up to you. The rest of us are using a motorbike for a purpose, as well as a bit of enjoyment. At 55 years of age, I've done my fair share of falling off bikes. Only twice. That's enough. And it's not an enjoyable experience, so, you know. So the power is to get you out of those traffic situations. Well, there we are. Well, the cloud is quite low. It's almost at my level now. Actually, it's only 100 feet or so above. Clear on the other side. So the question is, should I continue onto the other side? Have a different walk altogether? Well, I'm going to take my chances. A cool day for walking is not a bad day. It's just that we'd rather not be in the clouds permanently. So some of you will recognise this part as where Antir run there, downhill mountain biking track from. Go up that road there, come down some other way. It's alright, isn't it? Let's park the bike here. Oh, a bit more braking. I tend to be gentle on my braking. I'd rather they last a bit longer than not. Well, there we go. We've arrived at Park Cenedlaethol Eryri, otherwise known to you Englishers as Snowdonia National Park. And I'll pick you up later.